I want to tell you today about some stories that you might like. They're called fractured fairy tales. These are like the traditional fairy tales, except they usually have a twist or a fracture in them that makes them end maybe differently than you would have at first thought or what you have heard in the original story. Some of them are around the story of Jack and the Beanstalk, like a bean, a stalk, and a boy named Jack. Or Look Out Jack, the giant is back. In both of these, Jack does go up the beanstalk, but there's a different result. There's a surprise ending to it. This is a longer chapter book called Princess Pink and the Land of Fake Believe, and there are several versions or episodes in this series, and this one's called Jack and the Snack Stalk. There's also a great series called Whatever After, and the author of that has a Jack story called Spill the Beans. And in this one, her characters kind of interrupt the story, the original fairy tales, and they get entered into a whole new tale. There's also a graphic novel called Mighty Jack that was on the Young Hoosier list last year. And one other graphic novel is it's called Far Out Fairy Tales, and this one's called Jack and the Magic Nano Beans, which makes it a futuristic fairy tale. Some of them revolve around Little Red Riding Hood, like Little Red Gliding Hood, so she is an ice skating Red Riding Hood. Little Red's Riding Hood turns into kind of a monster truck story. The Little Red Pen makes the character of Little Red an actual red pen like you would find at the school. And there's also Ninja Red Riding Hood. Those are all books that you may enjoy reading that are related to the traditional story of Red Riding Hood. There's also a series, Grimtastic Girls, and another one from Princess Peak, both related to the Little Red Riding Hood story. Cinderella is another common storybook that is connected to fractured fairy tales. Cinderella becomes a Wild West story. Cinderella Penguin, of course, makes all the characters penguins, and that changes the story of Cinderella a little bit. Chickarella is a chicken that becomes Cinderella. And Bubba the Cowboy Prince is where instead of a girl that is Cinderella, it is a male boy character. Oh, and I missed one other one, again from Whatever After series, If the Shoe Fits. She has the Cinderella story in that series. Goldilocks and the Three Bears is another one. Goldilocks and the Three Dinosaurs is by Mo Willems. He's well known for the Elephant and Piggy series you may have read when you were younger. This is one of his early picture books. The Three Snow Bears is a really delightful story by Jan Brett that talks about these, all the bears, in this case, are all polar bears. Goldilocks and the Three Bears makes a story that is very musical. It's related to Goldie, who is kind of interested in rock and roll. And in the Far Out Fairy Tale collection, Goldilocks and the Three Vampires is that fractured version. Goldilocks and the Three Bears by James Marshall is a funny version. He also wrote The Dumb Bunnies, so lots of comedy in this series. And one other series we haven't seen yet is the Rainbow Magic series, and that is a series about a lot of fairies. In this case, it's Mariana the Goldilocks Fairy. Now, there are some mashups that exist. Shrek, in the movie The Shrek, you saw lots of different fairy tale characters. There is a picture book of the Shrek story that you can find at your library. There's also the Big Bad Detective Agency, which combines all of the different characters similar to how the movie Shrek does. And the Big Bad Wolf actually runs a detective agency. There are some longer stories. A Tale Dark and Grim and The Land of Stories are both longer fiction books that all are full of traditional fairy tales turned on their head. The Stinky Cheese Man and Other Fairly Stupid Tales is a very comical collection of fairy tales by Jon Scieszka. So that is a really good one to check out. Well, I hope you find some books that you want. I will be sharing with you a list from the Epic collection, the online Epic program that you might be using to read books. There are some Not so much some of these, but there are some fractured fairy tales on Epic. If you would like any of the books I shared with you today, you can request them by emailing me or filling out the book request form, and someone can come to the school and pick them up. Have a great day.